This is a hardcore or permadeath Elden Ring randomizer run. Every item and enemy has been shuffled around to a new random location. And if I die, I reroll the randomizer seed and restart the game from the beginning. There's a lot of settings in this randomizer mod, so really quick I want to go through the ones I'm using. For starters, in normal Elden Ring you need 2 Great Runes to get into Lane Dell, then the rolled medallion to enter the mountaintops of the giants. With those 3 things, you can beat the game. In my game, I need 2 Great Runes to enter Lane Dell, just like normal, but I've taken away the requirement of the rolled medallion. However, I need to find a 3rd Great Rune in order to access the final boss. I've tuned the mod's bias all the way down, so every item is as random as possible and can be found anywhere from a major boss to a corpse in a random cave somewhere. I've doubled every outdoor enemy and made it possible for them to be anything in the game from a spring hare to Eldenized. And for bosses, I've tripled all of them and allowed them to be any boss in the game. So bosses can't be regular enemies, and regular enemies can be bosses. NPC invaders are randomized, and scarabs are the same as the base game as far as their position, but their drops are still random. I have also disabled item requirements, so I can have fun with items early on that are typically essentially New Game Plus only in Elden Ring. Lastly, the video format. You're watching attempt number 1. This video ends when I die. Each video should start with class selection and end in death until I beat the run. And the series should go on until the run is beaten. So buckle up, because I have some ideas for challenge runs that are going to take potentially a very long time. I may fast forward through some scummy rune farming or tedious grinding processes, and I will be cutting out AFKs that I have to take for whatever reason. But you aren't going to miss any part of the run as far as following along goes. The idea is to chronicle the grind and any evolving strats I come up with, and hopefully catch some of the bizarre moments a randomizer can provide until one day the challenge is defeated. This will naturally cause video lengths to vary wildly, since some attempts may die in the first few minutes and others might take several hours. Alright, so these have been randomized to item discovery, Kukri, Dragon Heart, playing dim dashes, which is actually one of the default starting things. Blasphemous Claw, Bewitching Branch, Scar Seal. I mean, I don't really want any of this. I guess I'll take the item discovery. Let's have a look. So that's the Rotten Tree Staff, Rotten Erd Tree Avatar Staff. I think that's a full Fizz Block shield. That's a couple of Uchis. Hand of Millennia. Little sob thing. Decent bow, usable arrows. Bearer's Blood and a Great Shield. I like having this chest in case I get a really good summon early. That's actually health regen help too. Okay. Frozen Lightning Spear? That's a spell I have. Okay. The weapon is spear. Right, I actually can see the spells. Tibia summons. Oh man. It feels weird setting the standard that I'm going to pick a fun class instead of the tryhard class right away. But I think that's what I'm doing. Step number 1. Malekith Sword, Serpent Bow. I don't think this is a full Fizz Block Great Shield. And the, or is this called Deathbed Dress? Yeah, regen. Regen for allies. So if I can get like Oga or Latena or whatever the fire breathing Oni Slayer guy is called, Otto, what's that guy's name? Him. In pretty good shape. How much Fizzblock is on this? I like having bow on the right. Oh, it is 100. Really? This is a full Fizzblock shield. Okay. That is Moog and 2 Erdtree avatars, 1 rotten and 1 non-rotten. I'm not gonna waste arrows here. And this is death. This is death. I can accept that. Was that not a fat roll? There's no way I'm not fat rolling, right? This shield has to be so light. Okay, yeah, I am fat rolling. Let's lose. Ooh. Oh. Harsh. Gotta be naked. It's weird to me the Malekith's Black Blade has holy damage on it. It feels like it should have fire damage on it. Or both? Maybe both. Scaled armor? Okay. Oh, right. No Storm Soak keys. Okay. So I've attempted this in the past. I've actually completed a hardcore randomizer run in the past with no doubled enemies and no tripled bosses. And in that one, I also just fully randomized it. So there were a bunch of like peaceful wildlife critters in boss rooms. So it was kind of free. I want to do something a little bit more challenging than that. But the point is not to make this the hardest thing ever. Obviously, I would have weapon requirements on. I'd be doing 5 enemies. Although the only reason I'm not doing more enemies is because the game kind of constantly crashes. In my experience, if you have triple enemies out in the wild. It's like a coin toss every time you rest at a site of grace if the game is just going to freeze. But still, there's definitely a bunch of ways I could make this harder. Something like a use what you get or use what you see. There's the opportunity to do no horse, no Estus. A bunch of stuff I could do to make this way harder. It's not really the point. The point of this is to play different Elden Ring. Okay, whoa. Kale is crazy. So we have X-Sykes Decay, a Rot Weapon, another Great Shield, infinite Great Arrows and Bolts. Yeah, Great Bolts. A Seal. And yeah, some decent pants. I don't recognize which part of the game this music is from. I've randomized all of the music in the game as well. Another thing this cool randomizer lets you do. This is really bad. Okay, I have to go this way. I'm gonna get lobstered, or I'm gonna get hit by pest threads from that Kindred Rot. There's another one up here too. He's the patrolling enemy, so I can actually kind of sneak by him, but I am gonna probably get this caster aggro, which is bad. Okay, he's not using spells. First thing I'm gonna do is hop down here. We're gonna head to the cliffside. A lot of the enemies that replace the wildlife that are usually on the edges of cliffs don't really notice you when you run by. They're typically eagles, I think. Oh, didn't mean to do that. That was not intentional. I did a test run where I tested the capture and a couple other things, made sure the randomizer was working well. And this was a nightmare in that. So, not bad. It's one of the rougher patches of the game, honestly. Just because there can be so many enemies with really high range projectiles that will absolutely one-shot me that you just can't see prepping their attack. You won't even know you aggroed them until you get hit. And then it's over. The big golem, sort of gargoyle stone guys with the giant bows are really dangerous. They will aggro from forever away and you will just get hit by the arrow before you even hear it. Giant lobsters have a similar thing, although usually you know you're at least being looked at before you get hit. There's also the very scary possibility of a black knife assassin that is stealthed, that will just use that dagger weapon art to shoot the projectile at you. That'll kill you on horseback. You'll just get knocked off even if you don't get one shot and staggered. Not like an iframe stagger where you're rolling or recovering or something. Like, you're fully vulnerable. Carrying greatsword. Okay. A spirit calling bell is guaranteed. There are a few things that are fixed in this game, I think, to make it a little bit more possible. The spectral steed whistle and the summoning bell are always right here in those two places. First place I'd like to go is up through Stormgate. There can be enemies here that prevent you from going this way. But if you can get through, like that, Kindred of Rot is going to be a problem. I should be instantly killed by pest threads. I don't think I can do it. We're going to have to go the long way. I like going up there and talking to Rodrika, getting her item that she gives you. There's an item next to her too. Later game demi-human, I guess. Pretty tanky. Blue beam. The other thing to look out for, that's not immediately apparent if you're not sort of tuned to doing randomizers, is the beams for items that are on the ground. There's the tiny white beam, a taller white beam, a blue beam, and an orange beam. The orange beams are the really special items. They're one of a kind. They are things like boss armor pieces, weapons, remembrances, and great runes. Great runes are, of course, required to beat the game. So, it'd be great to find those. Remembrances are great because you can take them into the round table hold and get a few free items that you can check from converting. I don't know what these guys are actually called. I call them Estelle husks because they make me think of giant bug, like husks that they leave behind after they shed their external skin. It just looks like an Estelle husk. And unfortunately, he's in a pretty bad spot. So that is that.